Hi, this is Books with Brushu. I'm Jordan. I like to drink coffee and read books. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I don't know if you noticed behind me, but I did kind of decorate my shelves for Christmas. And I got some lights and some signs and everything, so tried to make it a little bit more festive in here since most of my decorations are in my living room. And I've also got my Christmas sweatshirt on. See if you can see that. And it says on the bottom, on my way to the bookstore. And I got this sweatshirt on Book Babe, something like that. I'll link their website below. So today we're doing another spinner wheel TBR. And this one is for January 2026. So the first TBR of the year. Now, I am recording this video a little bit early, so I have not finished my December TBR yet because December's not over. If you watched my December spinner wheel TBR, I mentioned in there that I would be changing up the wheels a little bit. I just wanted a little bit more randomization to the choices. So I want some more shelf spins, I want more genre spins, I want stuff like that. So I've kind of tailored the wheel so that we get more, quote, like wild spins or whatever. I'll go ahead and insert a picture here so you guys can look with me as I run through them. So we've still got the 100 Years of Books slice, and that is a separate spinner wheel that has it's the most popular book from that year, and it goes from 1925 to 2025. I think it was a list that Goodreads put out or somebody put out. And so it's the most popular book from that year. So I still have that slice on the list. Then the next is Author First, which is the first half of the alphabet. And there's a spinner wheel, it spins a letter, and that letter is the first letter of the author's last name. And then Author Last is the second half of the alphabet, the last half of the alphabet, same deal. Then we have Book Club Book, which I am in 2 different book clubs on Fable. The Homey and Homely book club and also the What We're Reading book club. And so whatever that month's pick is will be the one that would be on the TBR. Then I have a Book of the Month book. Then a book written by Emily Henry. There's some, I've placed some authors on here that I've been really wanting to read some of their books that I just haven't gotten to yet. So that's why I have just some random author names on here. So I've got Emily Henry book. And then I've also listed out all of the 4 Fairy Loot subscriptions that I have. So I've got Fairy Loot Adult, Fairy Loot Epic Fantasy, Romantasy, and Young Adult. And that would be just pick one of the books from that specific subscription. Then I got Finish a Series. So I would pick a book that's the last in the series that I'm on, so I would complete a series. I've got a couple of free pick slices. So that would be any book that I want to read. And those are good for when there are like anticipated reads that are coming out, books that I'm really, really excited to and I want to read right away. Then I've got a couple of genre spins. So we would head over to a different wheel and spin that and see which genre we get to pick a book from. Highest rated on Goodreads. So I would pull up my Goodreads want to read list, which is quite extensive, and pick the highest rated book on that list, as long as it's not like one in the series that I'm not on yet. Then I have an iBook. So I have a couple of books that I only have on iBooks, and I always forget about them and just never read them. That slice is to specifically pick a book from my iBooks app. Then I have an Illumicrate book, which is similar to the Fairy Loot. It's one of the book subscriptions that I have, and I would just pick a book from that subscription. Then I have Cat Pick. Cat is my friend who I go to the gym with all the time, so it would be whatever book she wants me to read. And most likely mystery thriller, because she loves mystery thrillers. Then I've got a book written by Carrie Lake, the newest book on my shelves. So that would be whatever the newest book that I got. So like for instance, right now it would be The Bookshop Something by Georgia Summers. It might just be called The Bookshop by Georgia Summers, which was the Illumicrate book for December. I literally just got that yesterday. Then the newest Kindle book, self-explanatory, the newest Kindle book that I just downloaded. A book by Nora Roberts. The oldest book, one of the oldest books on my shelves, which We know I've got a lot of those. Books that have been around for way, way too long. Then my oldest Kindle book, the book that I've had on my Kindle the longest, which there are plenty of those too. A Pascal pick, so that would be a book that my kitty cat picks. Probably just setting treats on books that I choose and see which treat he picks first. Then we've got publication year. So this one is different. I don't have all of the different publication years listed on this spinner wheel anymore. If we land on the publication year slice, then we would go to a different wheel and spin that one and see which year we get. Then a random Goodreads book. I just pull up my want to reads list on Goodreads and just scroll through that and randomly pick a book off of it. A book by Rue Nix. Another scroll my want to read list on Goodreads. A couple slices of seasonal books. So I really enjoy reading seasonal books, and so this is a good slice for me that helps me get those seasonal picks in. And then we've got a bunch of shelf spins. So I'm hoping we're gonna get more shelf spins this year because we honestly didn't get many last year. I think maybe 2 or 3. And so if we land on a shelf spin slice, we head over to a different wheel and spin it for the number shelf that we would pick a book from. Then I've got a special edition book. So that's just any special edition I get to pick. Start a new series. Read a book by Stephen King. A Sushana pick, so she is a friend from work and she also loves to read. So that would be messaging her and getting her to pick whatever book she wants from me. And the last slice on here is a Taylor pick. Now she's my sister, so that would be any book that she wants me to read. And I know she's excited about that because she's commented about it before. The audiobook wheel has changed a little bit, but not nearly as much as the TBR wheel. So we've also got in here the 100 Years of Books slice, then a book by Adrienne Young, a book by Ali Hazelwood, an Audible pick because I have several books that I have purchased on Audible and I have not gotten to all of those yet. Then we've got autobiographies. I really enjoy listening to autobiographies, especially celebrity autobiographies that are narrated by them. So that has 2 slices. Then Little Big Lies, a book by Blake Crouch, Daughters of Warsaw. These are just books that I've heard good things about the audio and have added them to the list. An Ellen Hildebrand book, a couple of free pick slices, Frida McFadden book, a genre spin, a book by Kate Quinn, or a book by Kristen Hanna. 2 historical fiction authors that I really, really, really enjoy. I've loved every single one of their books that I've read. Let's Call Her Barbie. So that is a story about Barbie and how she came to be. And I love Barbie. If you watched my Reading Christmas Books vlog last week, you will have seen my Barbie Christmas tree a lot. And I have been collecting those Barbie Christmas ornaments since I was little, since the early 90s. And also I used to play with Barbies. I love Barbies. So I really am interested in listening to that audiobook. I've got a couple of library picks. The newest book that I've added to my Goodreads want to read list. The oldest book on my Goodreads want to read list. Then a book by Olive E. Blake, book by Philippa Gregory. She writes historical Regency fiction. So like Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria, you know, all of those. She wrote The Other Boleyn, which was a movie in the 2000s, something like that. And it was, I liked it. But I like those kinds of stories, so. Then a Read Across America book. So that is a list that Goodreads put out, and it's a list of books that are set in each of the 50 states. I would spin a wheel that has the states on it, the remaining states, because I have listened to some of them. And whatever state I land on, then I would read that book. Then a Reese's Book Club pick. I really enjoy the picks for Reese's Book Club. Most of them that I've read, I've really enjoyed, so that's why that's a slice on here. Then a seasonal book, again, because I like to read seasonal books. A series pick, so just a book in a series. I've got a spinner wheel for that. Two Can Play, which is an Ali Hazelwood audio only book. However, I've heard that It's coming out in print sometime next year. Then a Winston Brothers book, just because I'm so behind on that series and I would like to catch up. And I enjoy the audiobooks. I've listened to the main, I think 6 books on audio, and so there's a couple like spin-off ones and I want to get to those. Woman in the Window, which is a mystery thriller book that I've really wanted to get to. And then also Wrong Place, Wrong Time. So another mystery thriller book. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to our 4 audiobook spins first. Okay, let's go ahead and do our first audiobook spin of 2026. Okay, spinning. And we get Wrong Place, Wrong Time. Okay, cool. So that's a mystery thriller. I believe by Gillian Flynn, if I remember correctly. And it just came out this year, I think. Let me look. It's Jillian McAllister. Wrong author, whoopsies. Anyways, Wrong Place, Wrong Time. Jillian McAllister. Can you stop a murder after it's already happened? No? It's midnight on the morning of Halloween, and Jen anxiously waits up for her 18-year-old son, Todd, to return home, but worries about his broken curfew transform into something much more dangerous when Todd finally emerges from the darkness. As Jen watches through the window, she sees her funny, seemingly happy teenage son stab a total stranger. Okay, I do remember other people on BookTube talking about this book. Okay, yeah, I remember now. Okay, so Wrong Place, Wrong Time is the first book on our audiobook TBR. Now, second spin. And we get Blake Crouch. Blake Crouch. Okay, a book by Blake Crouch. I like that. Okay. I would imagine I will probably choose Dark Matter. Yeah, let's choose Dark Matter. I've been dying to read that book. I've heard so many good things about it. Good things about it. So Wrong Place, Wrong Time and Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Okay, let's do our third spin. Ready? Go. Lilac Girls. Okay, Lilac Girls. I think that's oh my gosh, I can't talk. A historical fiction book. Goodreads. Oh, it's the first in a series. Okay. Inspired by the life of a real World War II heroine, this powerful debut novel reveals an incredible story of love, redemption, and terrible secrets that were hidden for decades. On the eve of a fateful war, New York socialite Caroline Faraday has her hands full with her post at the French consulate and a new love on the horizon. But Caroline's world is forever changed when Hitler's army invades Poland in 1939 and then sets its sights for France. An ocean away from Caroline, Kasia Kazmarek, a Polish teenager, senses her carefree youth disappearing as she sinks deeper into her role as the courier of the underground resistance movement. So, historical fiction about World War II. And there are 3 books in this series. Okay, cool. So, that's our third spin, Lilac Girls. Okay, fourth and final audiobook spin. Are you ready? An autobiography. Okay, that's fun. An autobiography. I'll have to dig through my holds at the library and see what I've got going on. I dug through my holds at the library and I have a hold in for Jeremy Renner's autobiography. Now my sister read this a couple months ago and she said it was so good. So I'm gonna add that autobiography to my TBR for January. So we've got Wrong Place, Wrong Time, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, Lilac Girls, and Jeremy Renner's autobiography. Okay, so excited about those picks. Let's go ahead and do our one mug pick. So this is your first time here. After our, oh my gosh, I'm so comfortable. If this is your first time here, after we do the 4 audiobook spins, we do one pick from this Harry Potter mug. And this has slips of paper in it of books that I've had for a really, really long time. So I went around, and now this was a while ago, probably like two years ago, if not 3, something like that, way too long ago. I went around and put slips of paper into this mug of books that have been on my shelves forever that I need to read. So we pick one book from the mug, and then we do 5 picks from my 2026 TBR wheel. So 6 books on my physical TBR and 4 audiobooks. So let's do our one mug pick and see which book we get for the month of January. Okay, I hope it's a good one. It's Savannah Breeze, which is a summer book. I can't read a summer book in January. This is a book that I got a really long time ago. Is it by Mary Kay Andrews? Okay, please hold. Oh, I should have grabbed it. Oh well. Okay. Well, silly me. So this book, Savannah Breeze, is by Mary Kay Andrews, and it is the second book in a series, which I obviously did not realize. So Wheezy and BB's Mysteries. The first book in that series is Savannah Blues. It is about meet Wheezy, aka Eloise Foley, a feisty antiques picker banished by her spiteful ex-husband from the house she herself restored in Savannah's historic district, who must come to terms with a life that has suddenly changed, and not, it seems, for the better. Savannah Blues readers will feel the sultry Georgia breezes and taste sea salt in the air as they lose themselves in a wonderful, witty tale brimming with sass and peopled by a richly endearing cast of delightfully eccentric characters. Revenge is sweeter than sweet in Mary Kay's capable hands. It has a 3.97 rating on Goodreads, so I might just try to get this book instead, since it's the first one in the series. They have it at the library, so instead of Savannah Breeze, we're gonna put Savannah Blues, since it's actually the first book in that series, as our mug pick for the month, because I did not realize that that book was the second book in a series, obviously. So if I like the first book, obviously I will keep the second one and read it. If I don't like the first book and don't care about the series, then I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that book. I am struggling today. Let's go ahead and spin for our first spinner wheel book, 2026 TBR. I'm so excited. Okay, I've got the screen recording going. Let's do our first spin. What's it gonna be? 100 Years of Books. Okay. Fine. Fine. It's not the most exciting. Get my screen recording going. Okay. 100 Years of Books. Let's see which year we land on and which book we're gonna get. Okay, ready? Spin. The book for 1989. Okay, let me pull up that list and figure out which book was most popular in 1989, which happens to be the year I was born. The most popular book in 1989 was apparently The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. I've never heard of this book. So I pulled it up on Goodreads. Let's see what Goodreads has to say. 4 mothers, 4 daughters, 4 families, whose histories shift with the 4 winds depending on who's telling the story. In 1949, 4 Chinese women, recent immigrants to San Francisco, meet weekly to play mahjong and tell stories of what they left behind in China. United in loss and new hope for their daughters' futures, they call themselves the Joy Luck Club. Their daughters, who have never heard these stories, think their mother's advice is irrelevant to their modern American lives, until their own inner crises reveal how much they've unknowingly inherited from their mother's past. With wit and sensitivity, Amy Tan examines the sometimes painful, often tender, and always deep connection between mothers and daughters. As each woman reveals her secrets, trying to unravel the truth about her life, the stings become more tangled and more entwined. Okay, we sure have some interesting books on this TBR so far. Sure do. So we've got Savannah Blues as our mug pick, and our first spin, which was a 100 Years of Book spin, we got 1989, and that book is The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. Okay, let's do our second spin. What's it gonna be? Finish a series. Okay, finish a series. Which series do I want to finish? Okay, I'm gonna pick that book at the end, and it will depend on what other books we get. It'll depend on what other books we get. I don't even know what series I'm in the middle of. Okay, let's do our third spin. Why does this always go so fast? Third spin. Fairy Loot Adults. Fairy Loot Adults. I like that, I like that, I like that. Okay, again, at the end, I will pick a Fairy Loot Adult book. So I've got to pick the last book in a series and a Fairy Loot Adult book. So exciting. So exciting. Okay, fourth spin. Fourth spin, what will it be? What book? A free pick. Okay, so we got some odd books at the beginning, and now I'm getting a bunch of cool ones. A bunch of free picks, basically. Okay, so our fourth spin was a free book. Our fourth spin was a free pick. Okay, I can deal with that. I can deal with that. Okay, let's do our fifth and final spin before I pick some books. Fifth and final spin. A Nora Roberts book. Okay, I've been really wanting to get into some Nora Roberts books. Nora Roberts was one of my grandma's most favorite authors, and so she bought me a ton of her books. So I have a bunch of them that I have not read. I've read a lot of her books, but I have a ton still that I haven't read. So, Nora Roberts books. Okay, I've got to pick the last book in a series, a Fairy Loot Adult book, a free pick, and a book by Nora Roberts. Okay, I will be right back after I have gathered some choices. Okay, so we have very few options. Apparently most of the series that I'm in the middle of, I'm not to the last book. So most of them are duologies. The first one that I really wanted to pick was The War of Wyverns by S.F. Williamson. So I just read A Language of Dragons a few weeks ago, and I absolutely loved it. Like, I loved it so, so much. However, my Fairy Loot edition of that book is not going to be here in January. So it's not going to be here, I think, until March. That's not really an option, unfortunately. So I was scrolling through my list. I saw The Next Mrs. Parrish, which I just read that book, the first book, last month. Really enjoyed it. Or in November, whenever it was. I can't remember. But I want to listen to that book on audiobook. So in the end, I also thought The First Time I Saw Him by Laura Dave is a Hannah Hall book. The first book was The Last Thing He Told Me, and that was a very popular book a couple of years ago. And this book is coming out in 2026 in January. This book is coming out in January. But I would rather listen to that one on audiobook. I would rather listen to it on audiobook. There are certain books where I feel like I would get too bored reading them, and so that's why I want to listen to them on audio. Like, there aren't many that I'm at the last book. Like, I could pick Road Trip with a Vampire by Jenna Levine, which is the third book in the My Vampire series. And I've really enjoyed the first two. However, I don't know if that's the last book in the series. I mean, I would be up to date on the series, but I also like to listen to those on audio. Really, the best choice of the last book in a series is this one that I've had for freaking ever, like for so long, and that is Wicked Charms by Janet Evanovich and Fief Sutton. This book is kind of a spin-off series of the Stephanie Plum series that Janet Evanovich has been writing for so long. One of the characters in the novellas from the Stephanie Plum series, his name is Diesel, and he is in these books. And I read the first two like so many years ago, like so many years ago, and I never read the third one. Like I have it and I just never read it. So I think this is going to be the one that we put on the list. It's about Lizzie and Diesel. They're back in a new wicked adventure from bestselling author Janet Evanovich. Murdered and mummified nearly a century ago, notorious bootlegger Pegleg Dazzle discovered and re-hid a famous pirate's treasure somewhere along the coast of New England. So I am adding Wicked Charms onto the January 2026 TBR as the finish a series book. Okay, let me go find a Fairy Loot adult book now. Okay, so I went through all my Fairy Loot adult books, and I've got two in here that are from a series. They're the first book in a series, and then one that's a standalone. So let's go through them. So we've got A Dance of Lies by Brittany Arena, and this book, I've heard mixed reviews about this book. Some people have said it's good and they really loved it, and some said it was just okay. So this book is about Vasily Moran was once a dancer in King Ilian's court until he framed her for murder. 2 long years in shackles leaves her broken and hopeless until she's suddenly called to face her king. He offers her a deal: pose as a dancer at the royal gathering, spy on his enemies, and he'll grant her freedom. So, and it's got beautiful art. I just love Fairy Loot editions. They're so good. So, A Dance of Lies is an option. Then we've also got Gifted and Talented by Olivia Blake. And this is the standalone. And this is about the Wren siblings. When their father dies, he was the brilliant CEO of Renfair Magitech. Also the so-called father of modern technology. He leaves an incredible legacy. And any of his 3 telepathically and electrokinetically gifted children could plausibly inherit the Renfair throne, or so they like to think. So, I was excited about this book to begin with, and now I've not heard anybody read it, so I'm not sure how excited I am about this anymore. I don't know. I do want to read it. It just doesn't like sound super exciting to me. So we'll see. And then I've got The Scorpion and the Night Blossom by Emily Wen Zhao. And this is the first book in a series, and it's very beautiful. So this one says, the immortality trials offer a second chance in a brutal world and are open to any mortal willing to risk the journey to the immortal realm. The price for completing them is eternal life. However, first they must survive. So this sounds pretty good. You got trials in the immortal realm, and then you gain your immortality if you win. So honestly, I think I'm gonna go with The Scorpion and the Night Blossom because the second book comes out next year. And the Fairy Loot pre-order for the second book is in February. So this would be the perfect time to read this book to see if I like it, and before I order the sequel in the Fairy Loot edition. So even though I want to read all of these, I'm going to pick The Scorpion and the Night Blossom by Emily Wen Zhao to be on my TBR as my Fairy Loot adult book, so that I can decide if I want to get the special edition of the second book in that series. Okay, on to, I'm gonna pick a Nora Roberts book and then I'm gonna do the free pick. Okay, I have dug through all of my Nora Roberts books and funnily enough, I have chosen a book I don't actually own by her, which isn't the point to get the books off the shelves. However, for some reason, I own the third book in one of her series, but not the first two. So I've decided to pick the first book in that series, and it is called Irish Thoroughbred. Now, these are shorter books. This first book is less than 200 pages. So really, all three books could probably be combined into one book. I have not been able to get through my entire TBR in a while. And most of that is due to me doing seasonal reading vlogs, which include books that are not on my TBR. January is no different. I want to do a seasonal TBR of reading winter books in January. So in an attempt to be able to get through those books for that video and also read the books on my TBR, I want to pick a shorter book so that I can get through as many on the list as I can. So that is why I picked Irish Thoroughbred, and then hope if I like it, then that's great. I'll go ahead and read the rest of the series. If I don't, then I'll unhaul the one book that I have on my shelves. So let's read about Irish Thoroughbred. There's nothing left for Adelia Cunin in Ireland. I am terrible at pronouncing Irish names. I'll just say that right up front. I am terrible at pronouncing Irish names, so I probably butchered that. The aunt she cared for has passed and the family farm has been sold for taxes, but her Uncle Patty has written her, "Come to America. The Maryland horse farm where Patty lives and works is more than Dee dared to dream about. She has always had a magical touch with animals and she finds employment in the stables, a chance to fly on the muscular back of Travis Grant's chestnut Thoroughbred. It's easy to put aside a passing pain of homesickness when she can spend her first paycheck, which feels like a veritable fortune, on her feminine frivolities that were never a part of her life in the old country. But the most unfamiliar territory of all is her relationship with her boss, the man who has made this all possible. Spirited but innocent, Dee is disconcerted by the way he treats her and the way she responds. America may be the land of opportunity, a place where even those from the humblest backgrounds can pursue what they want and perhaps even find themselves one day attending the Kentucky Derby. Irish Thoroughbred will be the book by Nora Roberts that I read in January. The last pick is a free pick. So I am going to include a book that may be in my January seasonal reading vlog of reading winter books. And this book was incidentally picked a few months ago on a spinner wheel TBR, but I did not read it on purpose because I had already slotted it as a winter book that I wanted to read for this reading vlog. And that book is Credence by Penelope Douglas. So I have heard really good things about this book. It's a standalone. It's got some triggers. It's got some messed up stuff that goes on. I have no idea because I don't know anything about it and I don't want to know anything about it. So I did order the special edition of this book and it has not come in yet. However, this book is on Kindle Unlimited, so I can download it there. But this is a picture of the special edition. So this is why it feels like a winter book to me, because it's got a bunch of trees and a bunch of snow. So that's why I have decided to pick this book. So I will be picking Credence by Penelope Douglas as my free book. And I am not reading the synopsis on purpose because I don't want to know anything about this book. I want to go into it completely blind. I want to know nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay, so let's do a rundown of all of the books that got picked for January 2026. So let's start off with the audiobooks. We've got Wrong Place, Wrong Time, Blake Crouch book, which is Dark Matter, Lilac Girls, and an autobiography, and I chose Jeremy Renner's autobiography. Then our mug pick chose Savannah Blues, which is the first book in a Mary Kay Andrews? Something like that. Book. So we'll see how that one goes. I don't know. Then our first spinner wheel pick was a 100 Years of Books. We spun and landed on 1989, and that book is The Joy Luck Club. Then to finish out a series, I've got Wicked Charms by Janet Ivanovich. A Fairy Loot adult book, I've got The Scorpion and the Night Blossom. A free pick Credence by Penelope Douglas, a book by Nora Roberts, and I chose Irish Thoroughbred. And that's it. Those are all of the picks for the month of January. Whew. The physical stack is not large, only 2. Sometimes that's just how it is. Sometimes that's just how it is. So, got 2 physical books and a bunch of Kindle books and a bunch of audiobooks. So, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see a bunch more content in the month of January, as I have a ton of videos about 2026 TBRs and books I'm excited about, and all of the stats for 2025, my favorite books of 2025, and all sorts of wrap up yearly goodness all about books. So subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss out on all of that fun content, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.